Hello, happy ready people. It's SableCaught, finally back from exams after a million-year-long hiatus. Today I have with me a very special guest, Alyssa Brugman, the writer of Alex as well. Hi, Alyssa.
Hello.
Can you tell us a quick little summary of what this new book's about?
Okay, Alex is a teenager who has been raised as a boy and who decides to be a girl.
Did anything particularly inspire this topic for you to write about?
I just did my PhD in literature and I presented a thesis on unreliable narration in young adult fiction and I needed to put with it a manuscript that demonstrated the narrative strategies that I was looking at in the thesis. So this was the manuscript that accompanied my thesis for my PhD. There was a whole lot of techniques that I used in the book to... Alex is presented as two characters, a male version of Alex and a female version of Alex, and they argue in Alex's head all the time. I've presented a mother character who gives us a whole lot of background that Alex doesn't know about her upbringing. And I've also put in some documents in the book that give us another view again of what Alex's character is like. So there are lots of different ways the reader... Oh, also, Heather the mother does a blog. And then you have this Greek chorus of people who are commenting on the blog. So that gives us, again, all different views of what's happening in this family and what's happening for this young person. So this means the reader can... has so many different views from which to choose what their version of the truth is.
I found the mother's blog posts really interesting, partially just because I guess anyone who spends time on the internet knows all those types of commenters that you find under any kind of post, some of whom are really helpful, some of whom are really just trying to make trouble.
Or also that they're really pushing their own agenda. They're not really interested in the post at all, they're just using it as a vehicle to talk about their own issues.
Well, the thing I found that I loved about Heather's post was in those moments, if I'd been hating her or whatever through Alex's point of view, in those moments I could almost understand where she was coming from. I could almost actually feel for her.
Yes, yeah. What I did was I presented the argument from... Alex talks about an argument that they've had, and then Heather blogs about the same argument and the way that they saw that. And even when they're not fighting, Heather's version of how things went and Alex's version of how things went are quite different. If you go through and actually read Alex's dialogue, not the thoughts that she has, not the arguments that the two Alexes have, but the actual dialogue that she has with her mother, she doesn't talk to her mother. So when you read Heather's trying to interpret what's going on, she's not got much information to work with.
Do you think Alex has an easier time than most intersex people would these days because of the fact that she meets this amazing character in your lawyer? Is it Crockett or
Crockett? Yes.
Crockett.
Yeah, there are two adults. There's a male and a female adult in her life who are not her parents, who give her lots of guidance and lots of boundaries. So there is Crockett the lawyer, who she approaches to emancipate herself from her parents, and then there's Leanne, who is the model manager who takes her on as a model. And Leanne, neither of them care about her being intersex. Neither of them are remotely interested in that. And they give her a structure in her life that she's not getting from her parents. So those two characters take on the role of parenting. And I think for a lot of people who identify as gay or intersex or have these kinds of gender issues going on, sometimes they have to look outside their family for family.
It was really interesting reading the things Alex managed to get up to, but part of the time when I was reading it I was going, oh well, you're lucky to kind of have got this person who can help you do that, and lucky to have got some disposable income, which I guess a lot of teenagers don't have access to at all.
Well, I wanted to talk about, when I gave her the modelling opportunity, I wanted to talk about the fact that what we see as ideal, the ideal female form, is actually a male form. There's no bosoms, there's no hips, there's straight up and down, very young, quite masculine, quite angular. That's what when you open a magazine and have a look at what we're saying is the perfect female form, it's actually a male form. And when we have a look at the male models and what we're looking at as the ideal, they're often very feminine. They have really good skin, they have wide eyes, they have all of these things that we would value as a female form. So androgyny is being put up for young people as the ideal. So, and I wanted to explore that as an idea. And also this totally unrealistic tallness
Yeah.
A female model cannot be a model unless they're 5'10" or something like that. How many of us are really that height? So I just thought that was an interesting thing to explore. What she's being valued for as a model is what makes her male rather than female.
So do you think the book expresses your personal view of how intersex people should be raised, not picking a particular gender?
I would hope not. All of the books that I have written look at adolescence and look at the friction between parents and children. Children forming their own identity and parents wanting something different for them. So, which is very common in YA, this friction. If it was all rosy all the time, young people would never leave. They need to be a bit difficult and a bit horrible, and their parents can get out. So I do think this period in life is really tumultuous for families, and it's necessary in order for that break to occur. So it has been a passion in my writing, and it's not really to do with gender at all, but communication in a family, relationships in a family, and ways in which those relationships can break down.
So are you working on something new at the moment?
I'm always working on something, but whenever I start a project, I'm not necessarily writing a novel that's going to be published. I'm always experimenting with different forms and different structures. And I have a lot of manuscripts on my hard drive that I don't intend to be published because it was an experiment, which was successful or failed. It depends. I also don't write for I write for one person.
Yourself?
No. Say, for example, Alex was written for my university professor, Belle Alderman, who's an emeritus professor and an amazing woman who has done so much for children's literature. And I wanted her to think it was clever. I wrote it with her as an audience in mind. And I did a whole series for my horse riding instructor. I wrote 5 books for her. I would go to see her and she'd say, "I've got nothing to read, will you write something?" So I wrote 5 books for her. And there's various people who you get talking about something and I'm going to write you a book about that. So I write with them in mind rather than a wider audience. And because you don't know when you open the document and start chapter 1 whether it's going to be a book or not. So a manuscript I can print out and give to a friend and hopefully give them a smile.
It's probably about all I can fit into a 4-minute YouTube video. Thank you so much to Alyssa Brugman for joining us. Remember her book, Alex as well, that you can pick up in the link down below. Thank you to Curious Fox for arranging all of this, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.